This is the AMSAT Newsreel.
Our first presenter this morning is Rick Hambly W2GPS, who's a president of AMSAT North America. Rick has been a ham for a very long time. He's licensed since 1965, and he first made his satellite contact in A06 in 1976. He's an electrical engineer by training, so please let me introduce Rick Hambly W2GPS.
Thank you. Well, this is my first year as president of AMSAT in front of the Dayton audience, and I'm honored to be here. I'm going to take this opportunity this morning to tell you a little bit about AMSAT as it transitions into a new and better organization, what we're doing to make that happen, what our current status of satellites are, and what's next. But before I go on, I'd like to point out that if your question doesn't get answered, or because we don't have time, or I missed something that you thought was important, I can almost guarantee that it will be on our new website, which was put up just a year ago, thanks to a great volunteer effort by Emily Clark and others. And last November, we opened the AMSAT web store, so you can join, you can renew, you can buy trinkets and books and things 24 hours a day now on the AMSAT store. So back in February 2004, we began a process of taking a close look at ourselves as an organization and trying to determine what AMSAT needs to be to continue to attract our loyal membership and to attract many, many more members. I have a goal of seeing our membership more than double over the next few years, and that's going to take a good bit of effort, I think. So we began a project of strategic planning in 2004. And I'm not going to go through all the details that are on these slides. It would take too long. I could speak probably for an hour just as one slide on what we've done and how, the thought processes we went through. But the bottom line is we went through a formal process in a confined location away from everybody's home. And we sat down and tried to decide what we are and put that in a statement that everyone could understand. We also have instituted a new process of tactical planning, and we've tried to separate tactical and strategic planning such that your board of directors members don't do tactical, they do strategic work, and your officers do the tactical work. So both groups now are meeting in teleconference once a month to discuss their respective areas of interest and to keep the process fresh and ongoing instead of having just a meeting once or twice a year. So the result of the strategic planning, and some of you have seen this and you're going to hear it again and again and again. This may be the only pair of slides I read to you because I want you to hear it and understand what it means. AMSAT, we've decided, is a non-profit volunteer organization which designs, builds, and operates experimental satellites and promotes space education. We work in partnership with government, industry, educational institutions, and fellow amateur radio societies. We encourage technical and scientific innovation, and we promote the training and development of skilled satellite and ground system designers and operators. Now, that's a big mouthful, and it's a lot of work. There's a tremendous amount embodied in that. And so to help you understand the focus of what that means, we also wrote a vision statement to go with it. Our vision is to deploy high Earth orbit satellites, is to deploy high Earth orbit satellite systems that offer daily coverage by 2009 and continuous coverage by 2012. AMSAT will continue active participation in human spaceflight missions and support a stream of LEO satellites developed in cooperation with the educational community and other amateur satellite groups. What that means is that our primary focus in building satellites is going to be at least 2 high-orbit satellites of our own, and support of the high-orbit satellite being built in Germany. Thusly, we will have, we hope, 3 high-orbit satellites such that you will always be able to point an antenna someplace in the sky and see a high-orbit satellite, hopefully at apogee, not at perigee. If you can do that 24 hours a day, the hobby changes completely, transforms everything. Human spaceflight missions. NASA has announced they're going further. They're going outside the Earth. They're going back to the Moon. They're going to Mars. Wherever it is they go, we want to go there with them. And so Frank will be saying something about the human spaceflight missions this morning, but we want to go wherever they go. The LEO satellites, there are many, many organizations working on that. AMSAT will help them in any way we can. We want them to succeed, and we want to encourage those organizations to build the right kind of satellites, and we'll just see where that goes. But our priority in building will be the high-orbit satellites. Now, for those of you who may not operate satellites on a regular basis, you may think, oh, well, we launched a satellite last year, so we must have 1 satellite working. Yes, we had a major loss of AO40, and that hurt. But so what do we actually have up there? It's more than 1 satellite. We just had a launch a few weeks ago, of a satellite from India, which has added a tremendous capability. But even that's not all. This is a capture of a few days ago from the website. You can go to the website, look at the status, and you can see all these green up arrows and even some of the semi-operational arrows, and you'll find that there are many working satellites with a variety of capabilities for data, for voice, whether it's linear, sideband, FM, S-band, VHF, UHF, whatever you like. We do have working satellites up there. And I encourage you to operate at least one of them. I was privileged enough, thanks to Drew, to operate 2 VHF up, S-band down contacts on AO51 yesterday myself with an HT and a whip. Now, I'll just review quickly. Last year at this time, we were about to launch this satellite AO51, which we called Eagle, and I've given you status reports over the last few years. We sent Chuck to Baikonur, and yes, that contains the satellite. It's only 9 inches on a side. It's a very powerful satellite when you listen to it, but it's very small. And Chuck took it to Baikonur. He mounted it on the mounting ring, or on a mounting platform, which then was mounted in the mounting ring and launched on that rocket. Now, don't be confused. Last year I showed you a picture of a rocket. This is our rocket. This is a real picture. And so we launched, and sometimes they say we launched on June 28th, and sometimes June 29th. It was June 28th here and June 29th there when it took off. This is the AO51 9-inch cubes low Earth orbit satellite, has all of these frequencies and modes on it. If there isn't something there for you, I'd be really surprised. There's 1 or 2 things it doesn't do, but it does a lot. And we do move the modes around, so you will find this banner showing what mode it's in now on the main AMSAT webpage. And we try to keep it up to date pretty closely with what's going on in the real scheduling. And we're trying to sync that up as close as we can. Sometimes it's a couple of hours off, but we're trying to keep it right on. So if you want to know what mode it's in right now, just go to amsat.org and you'll see this. And if you want to know when your favorite mode is coming up from all of these capabilities, go to amsat.org, go down to the Eagle command team page, Echo. I've got a lot to say about Eagle. Sorry. The Echo command team page. And they've got the schedules and everything, all about what they're planning to do and when it's going to happen. And don't forget, Wednesdays are Experimenters Wednesdays, so all kinds of unusual modes may appear on Wednesdays. Now, is AO51 hard to work or easy to work? Well, my answer is very simple. To do voice, all it takes is 2 AMSAT presidents and our official demonstrator. If we can do it, anyone can do it. This was, I think, the day we launched the satellite, and we were at Central States Conference in Toronto, and we were just standing out in the parking lot, and sure enough, there was the satellite. So we had to bring in a ringer for data. We brought in Mike, who knew how to do data. He got out his laptop. We hooked it to one of these Kenwood HTs that has the modem built into it, the data built into it, and I became the antenna rotor for this one, and Mike did the data, and sure enough, just like that. Now, that day we didn't have the store and forward working, but we had the telemetry being displayed, and we knew this was on like the first few orbits, and we were already doing telemetry and voice and everything. It was great. So if we can do it, you can do it, I assure you. So now I'd like to skip on to the high orbit satellites that I said were so important to our future. And this is one we haven't talked about lately. But I want to tell you that in order for us to meet our vision, we must team with everyone around the world. And the first satellite that is going to be ready to go soon is Phase 3E, being built by AMSAT DL in Germany. And it's going to carry the same kind of transponder capabilities you're used to from AO10 and AO13 and some of AO40's capabilities. And it's also going to carry some experimental payloads for their ultimate goal, which is a launch to Mars. Thank you. This satellite is in the same chassis as those previous satellites. It has all modern technology, but it's going to launch relatively soon, like next year. So I flew over to Germany a few months ago and visited with Peter, the president, Carl, the infamous chief scientist, and Helmut, who's working on their Mars ground station. They have a modest little 15-meter dish or so that they've been rebuilding. Mars isn't easy. The Mars mission is not going to be a backyard operation. But in any case, I met with them here in Germany. This is the real P3E space frame. That's not a mock-up. And this was actually at the tail end of a week-long meeting. We have quite a few AMSAT North America people who've been working on this for a long time. And AMSAT is proud to tell you that we are now fully funding the North American content in this satellite and fully supporting both the people, the equipment, the software, the support, everything. We're funding them and we're giving them every other kind of support we can. That's taken a lot of the load off from Germany, having to carry the ball on their own. And so we're looking forward to a success in the near future and a renewal of our partnership with AMSAT Germany. So while that's going on, and we have a bunch of our builders working on that satellite, we're going to also get AMSAT Eagle ready to fly. And I've got a whole bunch of slides here that I didn't have time to take out, but we have a whole Eagle presentation, so I'm not going to say much about these, except to tell you that at the present state of the design, this is what we think Eagle is going to look like, with and without clothing. And just to give you an idea of the challenges we're faced with, this clothing, these solar cells are somewhat shy of $200,000 that we have to raise just to put the outside skin on. We have some serious challenges for budget. Our designers seem to think that they're on pretty solid ground with some of the things they're planning to do. This satellite has been under consideration since the year 2000 at the annual meeting in Maine when Dick Jansen proposed this, and we've been working on it ever since. We had serious work done in 2004. We came up with specifications for the satellite, which I'm not going to go through in detail because we have another presentation on that, but we'll have a variety of payloads. You'll notice there are no transponders, they're just transmitters and receivers. You'll have your linear modes for, UV and US and all these various linear modes that you're used to and want to see again. Digital modes will also be there. We'll have some new exciting capabilities like C up, C down on 5 gigahertz, and we can talk more about that later. But all of this stuff will be implemented in new and unique ways that have never been done before in the history of ham radio, and I think commercially may have only been experimented with once or twice that I've ever even heard of. We have some really exciting new ways to do things now. So our specifications are extensive and take many pages to display. This is just a short list, and I'm not even going to go through this list. Our antenna arrays are going to be interesting. We're looking at possibly having electronically steerable antennas, for example. We've had to assign the pieces of this project to key people. If you want to, don't try to write all this down. It's on the website. But if you would like to participate or ask questions in a specific area, sensors, whatever, you can find out who's in charge of each of these subcommittees. And, of course, Jim Sanford, who's going to be presenting, is the overall project manager. And so that's pretty much what we have in mind. To achieve these goals, we need money. Okay, you're tired of hearing that because we always say that. But it's true. It costs a great deal of money to do what we're doing. As Tom Clark says so often, it's not one comma, it's two. We need $1 million plus to do what we're talking about. We need you to help in any way you can. Not all of you can afford to join the President's Club, although I wish you could. But we need you to volunteer to sit for an hour at a Hamfest, or better yet, to call Martha and say, you've got a local Hamfest coming, and she'll send you the AMSAT banner and some books, set up a table. Go to your ham club, put on a little presentation, and okay, I did it for my ham club, so I know you can. Send us an annual contribution, whatever you can afford. Some people send $10, and believe me, I appreciate every one of them, and I sign the letter for those people too. Some people send $25,000. I appreciate that too. We need your help physically and financially in every way if we're ever going to get if satellites don't go up easy. Think about how much you spend on a radio, and think whether you can afford like 10% of that to send into AMSAT, so there's something for your radio to do. Now, I've said over and over again, go to AMSAT.org. Martha wants to remind you that she likes to get phone calls. All this wonderful electronic communication is making her lonely. Give her a call on the phone, just say hi. And if you give her your credit card number while you're at it, that's good too. If you have concerns or questions, do not just throw them out on AMSAT BB or wonder. Find who your AMSAT officer or board member is and ask them directly. And if you don't know their email addresses or phone, well, we're not giving out phone numbers yet, but email addresses are not being given out either. But if you go to the website and click on their names, you'll get a form to fill out. And if you fill that out, an email will be generated to each of those people. So you can ask whoever you want, whatever is on your mind. And please do communicate. We need to hear from you. And just, it's up to you to help us reach our potential. We're a volunteer organization. I'm not sure what I'm doing up here as president. I just accidentally volunteered for some small job once. But we're doing what we can. And the reality is, I think we're planning a future that's going to make you all proud of us. Thank you very much.
This has been another edition of the AMSAT Newsreel.